During 30 years, Russian-speaking immigrants, owners of lighthouses in the south of the country, have struggled to resolve the problem of their lighthouses' condition. They sent letters to ministers and Knesset members, participated in Knesset committees meetings, filed complaints to State Controller Michael Lindenstrauss, as a result of which he made conclusion that lighthouses are inappropriate for exploitation and have to be replaced with new ones. There was a court process that took 10 years but didn't bring the desired solution. As a result of all this, they filed complaint to Attorney General on 713 pages, including documental improvements of lighthouses' condition and process itself. This complaint was passed to additional care to State Attorney Office. In their request, new immigrants moved the Attorney General to start criminal investigation and file accusation acts against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Minister of Internal Affairs Negev Deri, and other high officials from various ministries and governmental institutions. Happy New Year! Our dear citizens, as you say in Russian, New Year, new happiness. I want to congratulate you with New Year and wish you happiness in this coming year. In 2009 election campaign, in order to receive voices of new immigrants in the south of the country, Benjamin Netanyahu promised in his election proclamation, quote, Likud sets as its goal to resolve problem of new immigrants' light houses. These buildings for tens of years cause to their owners, primarily Russian-speaking immigrants, constant suffering. They don't protect against cold or heat, are eaten by termites, and are not secure during the bombings. Cosmetic repairs for budget money doesn't improve the situation. End of the quote. Despite the fact that Russian-speaking immigrants, owners of lighthouses, voted for Likud in 2009, after coming to power, Benjamin Netanyahu didn't get in touch with them and didn't even try to resolve their problem. Their endless letters and letters of their lawyers stayed not responded. So 30 years passed, all the promises were given, but situation was not resolved. Of course, people are getting somehow accustomed. They took loans in the banks. All the people that found themselves in this situation came to Israel in order to live here happily, to be useful for our state, to make it flourish, because its prosperity. In 2013, head of Association House and Family, Lydia Zirbestein, had died from oncological disease, cancer of lungs. For a lot of years she struggled to resolve problem of Russian-speaking immigrants' lighthouses, but couldn't see the result. It should be emphasized that a lot of owners of lighthouses have died from various oncological diseases caused by chemical substances released by panels of lighthouses. Of course, it was possible to build such houses by the power of the state, but state didn't wish to do that in that period. But when our houses of Alpha Tzefon Association have already received their final shape, walls and roofs, there was a lot of noise in the mass media. There were pictures in newspapers, discussions, Knesset members came here to see the houses, and all this caused Ministry of Construction that they will build light construction, and they became our Alpha Tzefon Association, if it's possible to say, co-authors, as it was, if you remember, in inventions, in various inventions. So, in order to show its activity, Ministry of Construction started to build similar houses by Israeli companies and from Israeli materials in the south of the country, Arad, Ofakim, Beersheva, even in Eilat, Somewhere else, of course, I couldn't get to Eilat to see the construction process, but in Arad and especially in Ofakim, we arrived when we saw that there is a construction there starting. Actually, one veteran of World War II organization had in Ofakim that was very active, Valentin Naumov. He told me about this because he wanted to buy an apartment in one of these houses, and then he told me about this. I became interested, spoke to our entrepreneur here. We rented private plane, flight to Beersheba, afterwards to Ofakim. I have shown you the pictures. If it's necessary, I will show you pictures from Ofakim. Then we arrived in construction plots. When we saw the construction process, we became astonished. We didn't understand who is building this way, how it's possible to build this way, because I saw the regular construction process in the United States. I could compare. I was completely shocked. Main principle of these houses is isolation from the ground. It's most important. And another thing is that all the materials that have to be used in the construction process have to be specially prepared and processed. It's processed wood, processed metal blocks, processed chipboard panels. They are divided into regular ones, waterproof panels, fireproof panels. It's complete technological process. It's not difficult, but it has to be made as it's necessary. For example, if you try to prepare Coca-Cola drink at home, even if you add hundreds of components, you won't get the regular Coca-Cola drink. And here they started to build this way. It was clear for us that they're building certain trash, it's falsification, but we couldn't intervene. We didn't see future owners of the houses. I just told to Valentin Naumov, to that guy, that they're building not correct way, but because he made noise, maybe his specific house was built, at least its basis, more or less in a normal way, but it will get rot anyways. Because they use incorrect technology process and materials, it's a crime. It's a crime that was committed by the Ministry of Construction. A part of Ministry of Construction decision on lighthouses was made also by Negev Deri, Minister of Internal Affairs. In 1990s, in the period of massive repatriation away from the former Soviet Union, in order to rapidly resolve problem of housing for newcoming immigrants, Negev Deri, that then held office of Minister of Internal Affairs, and by the way holds this office now too, after committing crime and being in jail, he is again Minister of Internal Affairs. But then he initiated purchase and import to Israel of 11,000 of so-called lighthouses. Because these lighthouses made of chipboard panels didn't meet Israeli construction standards, Negev Deri enacted light construction regulations that exempted lighthouses of meeting almost all Israeli construction standards. As a result, terrible construction defects and problems appeared almost immediately after finalizing of construction and purchase of houses by Russian-speaking immigrants. And what's interesting, after causing such a terrible harm to Russian-speaking immigrants, owners of lighthouses, he is not ashamed to accuse these Russian-speaking immigrants that they came to Israel illegally and are not Jews. They are not. They are displeased. Yes, that's true. Ministry of Internal Affairs checks DNA of future immigrants from a former Soviet Union, and it makes them trouble on their way to Israel. Yes, I recognize this fault. There is law of return in Israel. That if I would enact this law, it would look completely different. It led to a great number of those who are not Jews to arrive in Israel and receive their status of new immigrants. To our great sorrow, we don't know the exact number, but those are hundreds of thousands of immigrants from the former Soviet Union that came here, and they are not Jews according to Jewish traditional law, halacha, and they are here to our great sorrow. Unlike Minister of Internal Affairs Aryeh Deri, that accuses Russian-speaking immigrants of not being Jews and coming to Israel illegally, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in words, holds another line of behavior. Every year, he congratulates all Russian-speaking community with New Year and wishes them happiness. However, practically his politics looks completely different. He ignores Lighthouse's problem that he promised to resolve yet in his election campaign of 2009, and by this he covers or shields Aryeh Deri, that holds office of Minister of Internal Affairs after being in jail for the crime he committed. There were other great events. I won't tire you with details. I will just say that together we fight for a better future of the State of Israel, for its prosperity, and together with other parts of Israeli nation, you, namely you, bringing it to the conquering of the top, higher and higher. I want to wish you in your private life too a lot of happiness, success and prosperity. Happy New Year! During 30 years, Russian-speaking immigrants fought to resolve their lighthouses problem in the south of the country. They filed letters to Knesset members, participated in Knesset committee meetings. They filed even complaint to Michael Lindenstrahl, state controller, as a result of which he concluded that lighthouses are inappropriate for exploitation and have to be replaced with new ones. There was even court process that took 10 years, but didn't bring to desired solution. As a result of all this, they filed request to the Attorney General, Dr. Avichai Mandelblit, on 713 pages, including documental improvements of lighthouses condition and process itself, and it was passed to the State Attorney Office for additional care. They moved Attorney General to start criminal investigation and file accusation acts against main participants, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Minister of Internal Affairs Aryeh Deri, and other high officials in various ministries and governmental institutions. Continuation is coming soon in our additional videos.